No, I don't think that this is Eri or that All for One somehow stole her quirk. The real question here is, can Jiro ever be a normal hero again? What's up, it's Truth Hero, and welcome back to yet another My Hero Academia chapter review. So Boku no Hero Academia chapter 355 in the manga will discuss Jiro's fate and her future as a hero, and this new theory that All for One has somehow come by ERI'S quirk. Is this true? Let's dive in. The chapter opens with Endeavor nursing his wounds, and not just the physical ones. He feels sorry for himself and very frustrated that he let himself get taunted and goaded by All for One, ultimately putting him and Hawks' mission in jeopardy. Endeavor needs to get it together, okay? Get over the fact that Shoto had to go face Dabi alone. I know it's hard when you're thinking about your boys and the fact that Toya may be alive and, you could still save him, but you need to get over the fact that All for One taunted you. You need to cauterize those wounds and heal them real quick and get over to Hawks and help him out, okay? Get it together because you're just wasting time here. Get your head back in the game, homie. And I'm sorry, is that too harsh? I don't know. The entire plan hinges on you helping out Hawks. It's designed around you, and here you are just mumbling and feeling bad for yourself. So I don't know what else to say. Snap out of it. This isn't the first time Endeavor has lost his composure in a fight, but with All for One and not some other random villain that targeted Natsuo, it's a bit of a different story. They need all the help they can get, so use those flames. Get over there. Okay, rant over, but this is especially true when you consider the fact that Hawks just tells Tokoyami, yeah, with Endeavor and me, we actually never thought we'd need you and Jiro as backup. Oops. This is kind of on Hawks because we're dealing with Class 1A here. If you say to Class 1A, hey, we might need your backup, they're going to come to you and serve as the main character. Deku, of course, will lay everything on the line to save anyone, and it's really no different here with Tokoyami and Jiro. All the kids in Class 1A, and I'm sure Class 1B, they all want to be heroes. They'll all help anyone in need. So, Hawks, you didn't expect that you could keep UA out of this fight, did you? I, for one, love that Tokoyami is so devoted to Hawks and is ready to save his mentor once again. Hawks and Tokoyami to me is one of the best internship duos, and it's clear Tokoyami really earned his wings with Hawks. All for One disagrees with my sentiment and says there's no way these two birds are beating me. He believes that Hawks, Tokoyami, and Jiro are just stalling for time until Endeavor can return and give them backup. Which, I mean, he's not wrong. He and everyone else knows that Endeavor's injuries are not life-threatening. Thank goodness for that. But it means he knows their plan. In the meantime, All for One isn't just going to sit back, he's going to have some fun and toy with the heroes. He decides to target the weakest of the bunch, Jiro. Oh, that's rude. I mean, what is weak about this girl? Just as Tokoyami and Jiro saved Hawks, he returns the favor and bails them out. He lifts Jiro off of Dark Shadow with his feathers as All for One is launching these tentacles with mouths right at her. Whoa, I thought this was an anime, not a hentai. And since Hawks is such an amazing hero, while saving Jiro from All for One degeneracy, he slashes All for One's mask and creates a little fracture on it. They're making progress towards their plan. I love Jiro's realization here and the fact that she really doesn't even skip a beat. She finally sees the Demon King face to face and truly grasps what Deku and Aoyama have had to deal with. She understands the terror that this man has inspired not only to Aoyama and heroes but all of Japan, and she sees how brave her classmates like Deku truly are. Jiro and Tokoyami have always been these side characters that straddle this line between, of course, not as good as Deku, Bakugo, and Shoto or other characters like the Big Three, but also not as bad as people like Sato. Come to think of it, Sato is really the only character that has had nothing of significance happen to him. I mean, even Hagakure found out that Aoyama was the traitor. Maybe Shoji, but Shoji's kind of good. Anyway, that's beside the point. The point is, they've had to walk this line, and I hope in this chapter, this can be their shining moment. I want to see Jiro to the best of her ability, and Tokoyami as well. He's had his backstory in controlling Dark Shadow, but perhaps these two can shine and move towards that side of the big three and the MCs of the series. And Jiro's not even done in this chapter, but All For One is also not done. At least with his taunting, he taunts Jiro saying, "What, did you think you were special? Did you think that rubbing shoulders with Deku and Bakugo and these important people make you feel that you were also a very important person?" Yes. That's right. She is special, All For One, and you're about to find out. The Villain King then launches one of the coolest looking versions of these barbs and extension quirk he's ever used and cuts Jiro's side, causing her to lose one of her earphone jacks. Oh, hold your breath and say a prayer. Credit to Jiro for actually hanging in here and keeping her composure, as half of her ear and face, like her cheek, is just ripped off cleanly. But let's dive into this. Can Jiro, from this day forward, be a normal hero again now that she's lost one of her earphone jacky things? Oh gosh, All For One's not the only one with tentacles. Now that Jiro has lost one of her earphone skin jacks, can she just regrow it like Shoji can regrow limbs? If you remember in the training camp arc when his hand was slashed off by Moonfish's teeth, well, he instructed everyone that he could just grow tentacles out of that and limbs, or any body part, because it's Shoji and he can put them anywhere. Wow, there's a lot of tentacles in this video. In all seriousness though, we've seen Jiro use both of her earphone jacks and plugging one into each wrist speaker or ankle speaker and then launching a huge sound wave attack. So now that she only has one, and assuming she can't regrow it or it won't heal in any way, can she not get as loud as she could before? I'm not sure. It certainly doesn't look like it's slowing her down at all in this chapter, but maybe that's just because she's been training and has new super moves, which we'll talk about. But hopefully this won't hinder her too much, because that would be a shame. As I said, despite this loss of limb or appendage, Jiro keeps her composure and throws it back at All For One, saying, "All you talk about is power. Well, you made my friends cry. Big mistake. How about I show you some of my power?" And with her one earphone jack, or maybe none, I'm not sure, hits All For One with a huge burst of sound in Heartbeat Wall Legato. Chef's kiss. What an amazing move. And honestly, if All For One wasn't wearing a mask, I don't know how anyone could survive their hearing after being blasted by this sound wave. It's great to see Jiro using her sound like present mic to create a huge disturbance and clear out anything in her path. But of course, All For One and Mr. Peanut Gallery in this battle, more like unlimited talk, text, and data, has something to say about this. He starts, by mentioning motivation, spirit, willpower, blah blah blah. That's all nothing in the face of absolute power. Really, All For One? Well, how's that absolute power working out for you as you try to use a quirk and suddenly some forces start to hold you back? All For One becomes hindered by the wills of the people whose quirks he stole, and he realizes that Star and Stripes' new order could have exposed him to this phenomena. This is absolutely insane. I am not sure how Star and Stripes' new order could have this effect. I understand how All For One and Shigaraki share a consciousness, so they could suffer the effects of that quirk together, but as we saw with Shigaraki, it ripped him apart from the inside. He almost didn't survive, so whatever it's doing now, if it is Star and Stripes' quirk activating, is something different, and now we know that she may not be done. It's possible that this means the quirks in which All For One stole, or quirks in general, anytime they're passed down to someone, still retain some of the original user's spirit, or soul, or essence, or whatever you want to call it, much like how the vestiges of One For All are all with Deku now. This could very well change our understanding of quirks and open up possibilities in how to defeat All For One and Shigaraki, and by the same token, how Deku could be vulnerable himself. I also want to know why these people suddenly appeared and tried to stop All For One. And more importantly, who exactly is this person stopping All For One? Some have said that this is Eri, and looking at the manga panel closely, I see how this looks like a girl with white hair and a little horn on her head. However, I am of the opinion that this is actually the person's other arm just behind their head, and this figure is actually All For One's brother, the original user of One For All. The fact that they show this person twice more suggests that they are important, and if there is one person that wants to hold back All For One, it would be his justice-loving brother. Also, the white hair and eyelashes matches his depiction in the anime and previous manga panels. Also, there's no candy apple. But let's be real, I can't imagine All For One even had the opportunity to meet Eri, let alone take her quirk, and if he did, I feel like Mirio and the school would know about that. And if All For One truly has Eri's quirk, I guess by proxy Shigaraki would too, then the heroes should just give up. They should buy a plane ticket and get out of Japan, because this country's done. See you later. I just think it's more plausible that this is actually All For One's brother, and since he came into contact with All For One, since All For One forced a quirk onto him, maybe his essence is lingering in All For One's system like these other shades or people. But it does again beg the question, how is this happening, and is Star and Stripes' New Order quirk responsible? Let me know your theories about this down below in the comments. I really don't have an explanation for this other than the fact that quirks that are passed on or taken still retain part of the user's spirit or soul or whatever you want to call it. Lastly, Tokoyami matches Hawks' speed, Jiro unleashes a huge burst of sound, and Hawks uses a feather sword, puts it into the sound and air using sonic vibration propagate, and finally slashes and cracks All For One's mask with his wind sword. But my question is All For One truly in trouble now? Credit where credit is due. I think Hawks, Jiro, and Tokoyami pulling off this attack is amazing when you consider who they're fighting, but are we really pretending that All For One is just done because his mask is chipped and maybe his face is slashed? Are we really suggesting that he doesn't have some type of recovery quirk or a healing quirk? And if he doesn't, can't he just mind meld with Shigaraki and bring Shigaraki's consciousness and quirks to him for a second to heal? I just don't see All For One suffocating to death because he got hit in the face with a sword. Maybe that's just me. Unless All For One suddenly finds Endeavor holding his face and unleashing Hellflame on it to where he can't regenerate and his brain is just roasted, perhaps that's how he'll die. But, you know, I don't want to say, hey, you guys can't do anything, but if Jiro, Hawks, and Tokoyami think that All For One is just done and he's going to roll over, I think they need to reevaluate their expectations. Well, what do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments. Is this attack by Hawks really making All For One stress? Will Endeavor show up and make him really sweat? And who are these people or forces that are holding All For One back? Really want to know your theory on that. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and until next time, Plus Ultra.